Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Aging and Spirituality podcast, where we share secrets, tips, and techniques for living a more fulfilling life after 60. I'm Chris Jensen.
I am Kathy Lee Taylor.
So, we're hopefully will give you some inspiration today. So, I want to start out by asking you, how do you see the glass? Do you see it as half full or half empty? Do you
Af-
know that your answer to that question, the right answer to this question, can help you live a longer, happier, healthier life? So, what is the right answer? A study by the Mayo Clinic found that optimistic people had an 80% lower death rate than pessimistic people.
80%?
Yes,
Holy
pretty
crap.
darn shocking, isn't it? I mean, is that shocking?
Well, when you think about negative people, how uncomfortable it is to be around them, it's
Right?
not. And also how it takes effort to be positive. It takes
It
effort
does.
to see the glass half full. So I get it, but that is a shocking number.
I was blown away. I knew it was high, but that blew me away. And there's more. There's more multiple Mayo Clinic studies that found that optimism is associated with a lower rate of death with nurses, 31% lower rate of mortality. You know, nurses have a high rate. And they also found that pessimistic patients had a 19% higher risk of death. Isn't that crazy? And sometimes people don't even realize
Oh,
that.
most of the time there. I mean, if you're negative like that, you don't know the effect you're having on yourself and others. I had that experience today. I walked into my physical therapist and the receptionist was like a grouch. And I was like, she has no idea what effect she's having on people. When you
Yeah.
walk in that door, these old people, they want to feel loved and seen and heard and cared for, not
Cared for.
that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yikes.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No. So I just want to mention that longevity is just part of the picture of having a positive attitude gives you a reduced risk of disease. People with a positive attitude have a lower risk of heart disease, stroke, cancer, and infections. It gives you better psychological and physical well-being. It reduces stress, depression, and pain. It also can improve cardiovascular health and reduce the risk of death from cardiovascular disease and stroke. Better
Wow.
coping skills. You can cope with hardships and difficult times better. Better interpersonal relationships. I mean, when you're seeing the good, it's different. And better health decisions. Positive people, they're pretty much more protected against inflammatory damage from stress, and they make better health decisions and life decisions.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
you just all of those just described a life that you want to share with somebody versus having a grump in your house. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Who wants a grump in their house, you
yeah,
know? Who wants a
exactly.
grump in
Like
their house?
if you can do those and
Right. So
share those with
you may be thinking right now, so what's a person to do if they seem to be naturally pessimistic or you're
mm,
not sure? So you say, well, you tell me I'm going to die soon. You know what do I do now? So there are things we can do that help us become more positive. One of the best things you can do is to stop looking for flaws in others and yourself.
that's a big one.
It's a very big one.
That should be
Uh,
a trigger. Like the minute you do that, the minute you hear yourself judging somebody, ding, red flag.
yep,
Think about that, listener. Keep that in your mind because that is one of those mirror situations. The minute you start judging somebody, it's the wrong foot to be on.
yep. And it's so easy to do in the
Mm.
workplace, at home. So here's a little test you can do to see where you are on the positive negative scale. And I thought we'd do this right now. Let's just take 2 minutes and close your eyes and think of a recent situation or relationship and just try to look at it. What do you see? What's going on in this situation? How are you reacting to it? So we'll just take 2 minutes. Okay, that's our 2 minutes. I don't want to have too much dead air space here in the podcast, but that could be some of the most valuable 2 minutes you have spent today. What did you see? When you looked at that situation, were you seeing the flaws? Were you seeing the flaws in the person or yourself? Sometimes it's ourselves that we're most negative about. Because whatever you were seeing, if it was negative, if you were seeing flaws, then it's time to do a little bit of shifting to have a longer, happier life. Um, so look, and also when you're pessimistic like that, you're cutting yourself off from other people and from your own inner peace. Within
Yeah.
us, we have a place of incredible peace and upliftment, but when we're seeing the flaws all the time, we're cutting ourselves off from that. So how do we do that when we have been trained to see the flaws? This doesn't mean you don't deal with things. You deal with things that are issue, but you don't look for flaws all the time. So here are some things that I think we can all do. Start one day a week, or depending on how much critiquing you saw, maybe 1 hour a day, in which you catch yourself seeing the flaws. And you shift in that moment to trying to see something positive instead. So this is my hour, let's say, that I'm going to, and I see myself thinking, oh, really? They said that. Maybe I said red flag, whatever you want to picture, red apple.
Right. Yep.
Just, okay, this person's trying to communicate with me. That's a good thing. I mean, that's just something I threw off the top of my head, but
Sure.
do that. Do it. If you can do it for a whole day in a week, that's awesome. But if you can do it only for an hour, do it an hour every day. Transformation will come very quickly because you're going to feel so much better when you're not looking for flaws.
Well, can I ask you about my experience when you said to do that 2 minute thing?
Yeah.
It wasn't that I was looking at the flaws in the other person, but I was looking at something negative in the world and judging something going on in the world, and I was sharing that. So it had the same reaction. It had the same, I was putting negativity out and it came back to me real quickly. Like the person did not want to hear it, did not want to talk about it, did not want, the subject to be introduced. And I sat there thinking this was somebody close to me. This is, somebody I really care about. So it felt like a safe place I could just barf my stuff. But you know what? Even your loved ones don't want to hear that nonsense.
Hmm.
Even your loved ones, like sometimes if you really, really need it, you're in pain. That's a whole different thing. But if
Right.
you're just, barfing about what you're seeing in the world and you're not coping with it well,
Yeah.
and you're not able to take your own attitude to a positive place about what could potentially be going on and you're sharing that with them, it has the same negative effect on them.
It does. And
You're
it
absolutely
has
you,
that effect on you too.
yes, you're living it and you're passing it on to them. And you
Yeah.
don't even realize you're doing it. You think you're talking about the news or you're thinking of talking about what's just
Right.
happening, but you're passing along really negative energy.
But that's good. See, you
Good.
really saw that right
Yeah.
away,
Yeah.
and
Well,
that
it
gives
came
you
back to
that,
me quick.
it gives you that opportunity
Yeah. Yeah.
to do something about it.
Yeah, I did. I stopped doing that, that's for sure.
And it's really important because we don't realize, I think just the awareness, like you just had that awareness, is
Mhm.
so important because often we don't realize how negative we are being.
Yep.
Like I see myself as a pretty positive person, but I'll do a practice like this and I'll see the negativity, you know.
Yeah, sure. It's hard in the world that we're in right now. I don't care how much of a monk you are and how many mantras you're chanting. You're getting inundated and overwhelmed by the negativity of what's
Yeah.
going on in the world right now. So you have to be extra, extra cautious and aware
Yeah.
of where your mentality and your emotionality is sitting on a daily basis. So you don't do harm to yourself or to anybody else around you.
So important. So that kind of brings me to the other point that I wanted to talk about today, and you may have some ideas on this, but what about during challenging times? How do we keep our positive attitude and not get stuck in fear and angst and negative attitudes about
Yeah.
us or the situation?
Well, I have an idea, but tell me what you think first, and then I'll.
Okay, well, I've got a couple of things. One is to do the 21-day gratitude challenge.
Mm.
You write three things you're grateful for. You write it down every day because if you don't write it down, that makes it tangible. And you do it every day for 21 days and
Hmm.
you created a new habit.
That's a
Mhm.
great idea.
Yeah, it's a real simple thing. And 3 weeks, psychologists say that's about the time for a new habit to form. So
And by then you will like it so much you'll keep doing it because
you'll
it makes
keep
you feel
doing
good.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that's one thing. So let me hear yours. And then
Oh, so yeah, what I'd like to share is when I really get caught up in that overwhelm and the emotionality that is very prominent in these days, I stop and take a breath and make sure I calm myself down before I interact with the other person, whether it's
Mhm.
my loved one or anybody on the phone. It doesn't matter, whoever it
Yeah.
is. I don't want to be passing that energy along. I'm really, really, really
Mhm.
keenly aware of being able to do good in a time that is really chaotic and
Mhm.
disruptive. So I'll think to myself, what does that other person need instead of what's going on in the world? How do I feel? Like my opinion on this or that, just throw it out the window and think to yourself, what does that other person need from me right now? And oftentimes it's enough for me to get outside of myself and be able to get into a place of love and caring, because the minute you ask that question, your heart wants to be there for them, your energy wants to be good and helpful and of service to whatever's going on for them. So it kind of opens up this space of receptivity that wasn't there before. So that's really helpful for me, is
That's
what does this
great.
other person
Yeah.
need? That's what community is all about, right? You're like one hand holding the next. I don't know how to fix myself right now, and I may feel like shit, but I'm gonna reach my hand out to the next person and I'm gonna say, what do you need? Because I might be able to help you. I might be able to give you the thing that you need, you know? And
Mhm.
then we'll both feel better.
Right. When you do that, you absolutely will feel better. That's
Yeah,
awesome. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
That kind of takes me into just the other thing I wanted to talk about was having active goodwill for others.
Oh God, yeah.
No matter who they are,
Yeah.
you're in a difficult situation, and active goodwill means you genuinely wish this other person well.
Yeah.
And, it was interesting around the time of the election, uh, everybody was filled with negativity, right? I mean, there was just,
No.
yeah,
Yeah,
and so my husband had a good thing that he did. He said, I can't deal with all this. I'm just praying that God's will be done in this person.
yeah. That's a great thing.
And that was really helpful to me because I was skewing off into that other place.
Into the activist place and the pissed
Right.
off place. But when you say active goodwill, give me an example of how you do that in your daily life so I can try.
Right. Well, so there's someone that I want to have active goodwill for. There's some issue there. And then I look at them and I want the best for them in that situation. And so I do something to help that. I maybe a prayer like that,
Yeah.
you know, or maybe I actually do something for them,
Mm,
engage in that. But you do it isn't passive goodwill because it isn't just like, oh, yeah, I want something good for you, but you have to commit some energy to it.
energy to it. Right.
You truly want the best for this person
Right.
in this
Which,
situation.
which
So
you
maybe
in
you're
the
having a dispute
yeah,
with the landlord, let's say.
yeah,
And you, in your heart, you want the best for both of you, and you
right.
want the best for this person.
Yeah. Like I remember you doing that when you had a relationship at work that was not joyful, and
Yeah.
and
Yes.
that completely turned around.
Yeah.
And this is so important right now. I want to see if we can just expand on this, because there are moments, and I am a person that wrote a book called How to Always Choose Love, but I swear in these last few years, hate has crossed my mind so many times
Yeah.
that I have to question. how good I'm really at this, like, oh boy, I get to practice this over and over and over
Mm.
again, because that is not what I'm feeling for this person right now, and so, and not just one person who's completely obvious, but for the disruption and the chaos that has been caused in our country, it's not hard to reach out and look at somebody and go, how can you possibly be that, blah blah blah, fill in the blank. And when I do take the moment to sit down, and I'm not trying to explain who they are. I'm not trying to say they're okay in a way that I can mentally get,
Mm.
gyrate my way through. Well, they're human and they're this way because of this and this and this. I don't give a crap about that. All I want to do is I want to sit down and be able to open up my heart and be able to genuinely send good energy in their direction, no matter what I feel towards them.
Mm.
So sometimes it feels like, you're have compelling forces, fighting against each other. You're trying to send it out, and it's like, the world is just like coming in at you, like really hard. But if you just maintain that center and keep it around you, that sphere of just having goodwill for not this person who may be wrong, you don't know. They may be right, you don't know. But like you said, it's God's will. Whatever is going to happen in that situation is what you want to encourage. So keeping good energy in your life, doing good deeds, is really the best thing that you can do at this moment. The
It
best
really is. I mean, that's,
wisdom that you can do.
yeah, that you're right. That is the best thing you can do.
Yeah.
Be the person who's committing the positive energy. Yeah.
And it mentally doesn't feel like enough sometimes, like literally. I mean, I feel like I should be on the streets with signs a lot.
Mhm.
There's oftentimes that I think that I should be doing a lot more. And maybe I should. I have not totally let that go, but I do know that for my own well-being and my own self-care, I'm not going to make it through these next 4 years if I don't do these practices. If I don't, have goodwill for myself and everyone around me.
And everyone else. Yeah. Everyone else. Yeah.
It's mandatory.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. That's the key right there.
Seeing the glass half full,
Yes.
no
So
matter what.
hopefully you'll go fill your glasses and have a good time with this material because you'll have more fun. You'll be happier. Not
Yeah.
only are you going to live longer, but you're going to be healthier and happier.
Yes, and that's going to be really important in these next few years. So remember to take care of yourself, and this is one good way to do it, guys.
So we'll look forward to hearing from you. Let us know how you're doing with it.
That would be great. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.